Scene script. Have you ever heard about the man who stole an entire country? Intriguing, isn't it? This is the tale of Jho Low. Born into a wealthy family in the vibrant city of Penang, Malaysia, Low Taek Jho, better known as Jho Low, was a child of privilege. His early years were filled with the finest education money could buy, and he had the world at his fingertips. Yet it was not the shimmering beaches of Penang or the glitz of wealth that shaped this man. It was his thirst for knowledge and his uncanny knack for numbers that set him on a path that would eventually lead him to the heart of one of the world's most audacious financial scandals. From a young age, Jho Low showed a keen interest in the world of finance. His curiosity led him to the prestigious Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, where he would rub shoulders with future leaders and tycoons. Here he honed his skills and emerged as a promising figure in the world of investment. But Jho Low was not just another bright-eyed graduate with a head for numbers. He possessed a certain charisma and ability to charm those around him. This was the man who could walk into a room and leave with a handful of new business contacts. This was the man who could convince the skeptical to invest, to believe in him. His entry into the world of finance and investment was as triumphant as it was swift. He navigated the corridors of power with an ease that belied his years, making a name for himself in the global financial scene. Yet, beneath the veneer of success and respectability, there was something else at play. There were whispers, rumors of shady dealings and questionable practices, but these were easily dismissed. After all, this was Jho Low, the affable financier, the Wharton graduate. But this man was not just another wealthy tycoon, he had a secret, a big one. With a solid educational background and a wealthy family, Jho Low was all set to make his mark. Born into a well-off Malaysian family, Low was educated at elite institutions, including Harrow School in London and the Wharton School in the United States. It was during his time at Wharton that Low began forging connections with influential figures, a skill he would later use to his advantage back in Malaysia. Returning home, Low used his charm and newfound connections to get close to the very top of Malaysia's political ladder. He befriended Najib Razak, who would later become the country's prime minister. This relationship proved crucial for Low's ascent to power. With Razak's trust and support, Low played a pivotal role in the establishment of 1MDB, Malaysia's sovereign wealth fund. Ostensibly created to promote economic development, 1MDB gave Low access to vast amounts of money and power. He was not officially employed by the fund, yet he acted as a consultant and advisor, wielding considerable influence behind the scenes. 1MDB became Low's playground. He was the puppet master, pulling the strings from behind the curtain. His control over the fund allowed him to rub shoulders with international elites, further extending his web of influence. His lavish lifestyle and extravagant parties became the stuff of legend. Yet with each passing day, Low was getting deeper and deeper into a web of his own making. His actions were not without consequences. As he climbed higher on the ladder of power, he was also setting himself up for a great fall. But as we know, power can corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And Jho Low was about to learn this lesson in the most brutal way possible. Stay tuned for the next scene where we delve into the great heist that shook an entire nation. Now let's delve into the scandal that shook the world. In a scheme that would make even the most seasoned con artist blush, Jho Low stood accused of orchestrating a heist of epic proportions. Remember that name, folks, because it's one that will live in infamy. The target, Malaysia's sovereign wealth fund, 1MDB. The loot, a staggering $4.5 billion. Yes, you heard that right. Billion, with a B. But what does one do with such an astronomical amount of pilfered cash? Well, if you're Jho Low, you live the high life, and boy did he ever. This wasn't a case of stashing the loot under a mattress. No, sir, Low was all about the glitz and glamour that only cold hard cash can buy. He embarked on a spending spree that would make a lottery winner wince. From luxury properties that dotted the globe to priceless works of art, nothing was too good for Low. It was a lifestyle straight out of the pages of a Hollywood script. Speaking of Hollywood, Low didn't stop at just living the dream. He bought into it, purchasing a Hollywood production company. This was not a man who believed in subtlety. His was a life lived in the fast lane, fueled by stolen wealth. He rubbed shoulders with the rich and famous, sipped champagne on yachts, and threw parties that were the stuff of legend. All the while, the true source of his wealth remained a secret, hidden behind a facade of extravagance and opulence. But as the saying goes, pride comes before a fall, and Low's pride was as high as the skyscrapers he owned. The world watched in awe as he lived a life most could only dream of. But behind the scenes, the wheels of justice were slowly but surely turning. The party, however, was about to end. The walls were closing in on Jho Low. A man once adored now found himself at the epicenter of an international scandal. The accusations were serious and weighty. He was now seen not as a business prodigy, but as an orchestrator of one of the grandest thefts in history. Malaysia and the United States, two nations separated by thousands of miles, were now united in their pursuit of justice against Low. In the United States, investigations were launched. The charges? Orchestrating the theft of $4.5 billion from Malaysia's sovereign wealth fund, 1MDB. This was no small change. This was an amount that could shape the fortunes of entire nations. And it wasn't just Low who found himself in the crosshairs. Rapper Prakazrel Pras Michel, a man once known for his lyrics, was now infamous for his association with Low. Found guilty of conspiring with Low to illegally influence the US government, Michel's fall from grace was a stark reminder of the collateral damage of corruption. Back in Malaysia, the shockwaves of this scandal were felt in the highest echelons of power. Former Prime Minister Najib Razak, a man who once held the reins of the nation, had his bid to review his corruption conviction dismissed by Malaysia's top court. The court's decision was a clear message. No one was above the law, not even those who once led the nation. The fallout was immense. Low, once a respected figure in the world of business, was now a pariah. His reputation was in tatters, his influence reduced to nothing more than a cautionary tale of unchecked ambition and greed. Jho Low was now a fugitive, a man on the run. His fall from grace was not just a personal tragedy, but a stark reminder of the corrosive effects of corruption. It was a fall that echoed around the world, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The story of Jho Low is far from over. This is where we find ourselves today, entangled in a web of international negotiations, diplomatic discussions, and a nation grappling with the aftermath of an audacious scandal. Jho Low, the man once at the helm of an economic empire, now faces charges in both Malaysia and the United States. The man who allegedly orchestrated the theft of $4.5 billion from Malaysia's sovereign wealth fund, 1MDB, is now the subject of global manhunt. The Malaysian Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim, has revealed ongoing talks with international authorities to bring Low back to the country he once exploited. The process is intricate, involving multiple nations, and is being navigated through diplomatic channels. The countries involved in these negotiations include the United States, the United Kingdom, Switzerland, and Singapore. All of these nations have opened their investigations into the 1MDB scandal. But this saga is more than just about bringing a fugitive to justice. It's about a nation grappling with the economic and political consequences of a scandal of this magnitude. Malaysia's economy has been rocked, its international relations tested.